Hello and welcome to part 2 of New York 1776. We are examining the campaign of Howe. I think it was William Howe, maybe it was his brother, who are now on Long Island threatening Brooklyn Heights. So last time we saw a battle here at Paulus Hook where Heister did an attack against the fortification here, but Lee, I think I said he was, it's Henry Lee, but I think this is actually Henry Lee was another guy. Charles Lee, I think, was the name of this general. So he held back with some losses on both sides actually, but yeah, good for the Americans that they managed to hold Paulus Hook, because that keeps also the British ships at bay. So we're just going to start turn 3, so let's move the turn marker and see what action points we have here. So both rolled an even, meaning ships may move, and the British will get 4 and the American 3 action points. So the Americans start. What options could we have? If we look at the situation here from the commander's view, what should we do? I mean, we obviously have an epic battle coming here now. Already in turn 3 in the game, we would have a extremely big battle happening. I mean, well, of course, that was also done as in history, because we had this big battle up in Brooklyn Heights here. Now, as said, if we look from the commander's point of view, so we have Washington here. He's already over in Brooklyn. In history, I think it was Nathaniel Greene who was, it was his responsibility to defend Brooklyn Heights and Long Island. However, when the battle happened in history, he got ill. He was had fever and was in bed for I think weeks. So he just before the battle, so he couldn't participate. So Washington then gave the command to Sullivan, who well, briefly at least, Sullivan was in command. There was because of seniority, another general named Putnam got the overall command later on, or just within hours, really. But I think it was Sullivan who wanted to go and meet the British. I mean, the original plan of the Americans were to hold on to these fortifications and just sit out the British there, right, and defend. I think it was Sullivan, maybe it was Putnam, who wanted to go and meet. There was a ridge here. I think it's depicted by this one on the map. I don't remember the name of it, but he deployed a lot of troops there to already meet the British in good defensive positions there, and so they did, and managed to, well, defend pretty well there, really. Now, the thing was, though, that for some reason, I mean, there were several generals who had control of the situation, but none of them really thought about, closing the flank. This is really crazy when you think about it. We had this thing called Jamaica Pass here. It's the road going between these two hills. And thanks to some Tories, Howe got information about that alternative road to approach the lines. So he left some troops here. I think it was for Heister who was there. Now, this is ahistorical because we have Heister over here now in my game, but he was, tried to attack the Americans up front here, keeping them locked here in battle, while Howe, I think it was, and Cornwallis, they did this flanking move through the Jamaica Pass during the night before the battle. And as crazy as it sounds, there were only a few militiamen holding the pass. I think it was, if I remember correctly from memory, there was like 5 or 6 men or something like that defending this pass for the Americans. So they got caught pretty quick, and the British could continue their march. So while they were marching, they started to hear the battles in the morning when the Heiser and some British attacked this ridge where the Americans were deployed. And for some reason, the Americans couldn't believe they were coming through the flank. But suddenly, the British appeared here, and that was pretty much the end of that battle, because the Americans started to rout really hard. So they just started to rush back towards the Brooklyn Heights and the fortifications there. I think it was Sterling's brigade or something. He should be regular brigade here somewhere. Yeah, here it is. Sterling. I think it was Sterling who put up kind of a screening force, or a vanguard, you could say. No, not a vanguard, more of actually what is called when you have this troop in your rear forces, maybe, I don't know, who managed to for a while hold back against the British. So some of the Americans at least could escape, at least, and actually most of them did, but many were caught and many were captured, and of course many dead. Also, it were to mention that the British send their elite troops here. So we have the Grenadiers, we have the light troops who pursued the Americans when they started to rout back towards the fortifications. So yeah, all in all, it was as soon as the British appeared in the flank, you could say the battle was over, and I think the Americans took some 2,000 casualties or something, maybe including captured, I believe, and the British took a few hundred, I think, in losses this day. Anyway, these fortifications were really good. They had, I mean, the Americans had been, preparing for these for months, really. So it was really good fortifications that the Americans the next night actually did already. I think it was the next night. Maybe I don't remember all this too clear, but they managed to escape from here. George Washington took the decision to remove his troops from Brooklyn Heights, and he managed to do that thanks to they just gathered up all the small boats they had here in New York City and in the vicinity, and managed to ship back all the troops during the night. The British didn't really, they didn't really manage to see that, because there was a storm during the night, and rainy and very cloudy, so the moon wasn't shining and all that, right? And in the morning there was a really thick mist. I mentioned this in the intro of this video. So during the night and the next morning, the Americans managed to pretty much empty Brooklyn Heights and managed to get away with his army, which was oh man, that was a nice maneuver, though, even though the battle itself was a catastrophe, and he got some critics about that. I mean, many of the War Council of Washington wanted them to defend here. It was a good position, and the British, when they came up here and inspected it afterwards, they saw that, oh man, would they have assaulted this one up front, there would have been tremendous losses. And that brings us also to Howe's thinking, because he didn't really want to do a frontal assault. He had, Bunker Hill from Boston in fresh memory, where the British kind of won, but they got really bloodied, and many valuable troops got slaughtered there pretty much by American defenses. And you got to remember that those defenses were more hastily, built than these ones. These are real proper fortifications and redoubts in a system going for kilometers here. This is this different situation. So Howe, and he was a bit cautious. He didn't want to I mean, they could have followed up after the first day of battle and just assault the American positions there while they were shaken, and he probably would have overtaken that, but with great losses probably. And he wanted to not see that happening, so he instead opted to put a siege on the Brooklyn Heights fortifications instead. So thinking again then, so would these guys want to risk a big battle? Because now we don't have these, well, this game doesn't model that you can move through the flank and get some bonus for that. So there's no reason to send, Clinton. By the way, Clinton was also fresh up here from the catastrophe happening in the south when he was fighting down in Charleston with his Irish brigades. But yeah, so there's nothing in the game that could give the British an advance by coming from the flank here. Maybe that could be an house rule or something, that if you attack from 2 positions against 1, maybe you get something. Those who flank maybe should get 1 more die the first turn or something. That could be something. Anyway, I'm not going to bring in any house rules now. But because of that, I have just moved the whole bunch of the British troops up to Yellow Hook here, preparing for what could look like a frontal assault instead, which would have been more bloody if done in history. So what I'm trying to say with this long intro is pretty much Washington probably want to, I mean, he's also boosted by the news from Paul's Hook, where Lee managed to hold back with mostly militia and some artillery against many German mercenaries and also British brigades with some artillery. The second is this the 2nd regiment perhaps? Could be, of Royal Artillery. Anyway, so Washington heard about that, so maybe he's thinking now, okay, maybe we can hold out here. And we are in numbers, we are more, but of course at least half of the army is just militia. So, but at this point, Washington still had, I mean, I'm back in history now, still some confidence in his militia. I mean, the Battle of Brooklyn Heights gave him the insight that his militia was so brittle and just, run too easily and left the position. And overall, it was just a chaos in the defense here during the day of the battle, because of, I mean, the leaders were not synchronized, you could say, but yeah, it was pretty much a chaos. So many factors that played in the hands of the British that day. So Washington probably will risk the battle. I mean, if the first round of battle goes badly, he can do as they did in history. He can just retreat back to New York City, which I will probably do as the player if we are getting too many hits and too many militia is running after the first round of battle. For Howe then, as said, he would be a bit cautious. So he's probably eyeing the situation and looking, should we or should we not? Because he knows that after the news from Sterling, not Sterling, but Heister, I mean, of course, he knows that seeing what troops they had here, he knows that almost half of these guys are artillery and regulars of the Americans. Still, he didn't have that much of, he kind of underestimated, you could say, the militia also, even though they were not good at this point, at least. But still, Howe just thought probably that he could go through the American lines like a warm knife and a hot knife in butter or something like that. So maybe he could risk it, and he has now 16 units against the 20 of the Americans, but we have artillery and we have all the regulars. So I think he would risk to do it, because we're also gonna take into consideration that what Howe wants with this campaign is to have a pitched battle. Okay, they are in a fortification now, but the situation here is really what Howe's looking for. He wants the bulk of the American army standing against the British, because then the British can win. So in that sense, I think the British want to attack. So what would the Americans do then? So here I will just stay. Here Lee could get really bold and go out and attack maybe this inferior force here, but his regulars, McDougall's brigade, already took a hit, so maybe he just want to sit tight and wait out the big battle anyway. So I'm not gonna do that. And I think Heister is happy with that as well. So these guys will not move probably this turn at all. So the Americans will just waste their points. They will not do anything. The British now will activate. So here I will still activate Heister for 1 point, and he will go back to Constable Point. Why? Well, because I'm now in a port. This means Heister has a movement of 2, so he could attack with 1 action again if needed, but he could also, you know, embark the ships and appear somewhere else pretty fast. And that would be probably Gravesend or the Nissus Ferry here. Unless this point is taken where ships can be moved up, and then Heister could suddenly appear at the Brooklyn Heights. So that's the first action point. The second action point, Howe will move in. And for the third action point, Sir Henry Clinton will move in here and join the attack. We can imagine that we're doing the flanking move here as well. So we're gonna have a real big battle. So I'm gonna set up the battle and get back after that. Okay, so here we have the battle setup. Well, as you can see from the defender's point of view, we have Washington holding the left flank and Nathaniel Greene holding the center. With Washington, we have a solid 3 brigades of regulars, and then we have some militia, Connecticut, and the best brigade of the New Yorkers, or the largest brigade of the New Yorkers, perhaps. So that's a kind of a solid flank. The center is also pretty solid. On the green, we have 2 regular brigades and some artillery as well. We had not artillery here, but we have 3 brigades of regulars. Then we have 3 militia brigades here as well. So I would say this is also a solid one. On the right-hand flank, that's the Americans, for sure, the weak point, even though they have Henry Knox III regiment here. I call these regiments. I hope it somehow makes sense. And we have only 1 brigade of regulars, dryers, and then we have a lot of militia, mostly New Yorkers, but some Connecticut militia as well. So I would say this is the weak point of the American defense. We'll see how that goes, because if we go over to the British side, well, Howe is now leading from their right, so Washington and Howe are on the same place on the battlefield here, and with him he has 4 brigades of British regulars. Under Clinton in the center, we have also 4 brigades, one of them being some German under Donop. And we had Cornwallis here as well, with his 1st brigade. He had a 3rd here. I think we had the 2nd over on the Heister here. Then we have I have done some semi randomization with this setup, so this is kind of cool, because the American had what I see as the weak point here, and somehow the British managed to sniff that weakness, because as you can see, they have really put some effort here. So we have 2 regiments of artillery over here. That's big. So this could cause some heavy damage over here. We also have 3 brigades of British, and we have Mirbach German brigade here. So these militia will have a hard time, that's for sure here. So this flank could be the thing that breaks the British, or the Americans. If they could just hold for one turn, I'm happy, I think. But they can be great losses here. We're gonna though remember that the British are attacking a fortified position, so they're gonna have one less die in turn 1, or first battle round. So, but we start with the defenders, so we're gonna start with some infantry fire here from Washington's side. So let's start with Nixon, and he has 3 dice. Remember, 6 is a hit. And surely we got 1 hit here. So Robertson's brigade takes the first hit. Then we have Mifflin firing with 3 dice as well. And here we got another hit, which will be the brigade's Smith who take that. Then we have Sterling, the guys who held back the British for a while during the retreat. And they also hit. They're rolling really good now here. So Grant is taking a hit. Howe is now feeling, hey, this is going just like Bunker Hill. We are taking great losses while approaching the Americans here. So Cornwallis the one who has not taken a hit yet. We have the militia still to do, so I'm gonna roll these 2 together because that's 4 dice. No hits though from the militia, and then gonna roll 4 dice for Washington and the New Yorkers. Leaders contribute with 1 die in the battle, but nothing here as well. So maybe this is kind of an what you would expect in losses. So 3 of the brigades took a hit here, so they're gonna fire with even less dice now, since we are firing with the actual strength when we fire that side. So we go to the center then. So we have, let's start with the regulars again. 3 dice. Another hit. The regulars are hitting good. So Cornwallis 1st Brigade takes the hit. We have Fellows Brigade. I'll reroll that one. Well, we have a 6. Another hit. Now we come to the artillery, and these guys hit with 5 or 6. These might hurt. Yeah, 2 6s, so we've got 2 hits, so yeah, let's take the losses evenly. I mean, this is hurting the British really hard now. We still have the militia to do, so we're gonna roll 4 dice for these 2 combined. And there's another hit. Cornwallis takes another one. Oh man. Then we have 3 more dice for Green and the Connecticutans. Another hit. This is not going too good for the British, I feel. So that was the center. And here we have what we call the weak point of the American line. So we have 3 dice from Dreyer. Oops, no hits. We have some artillery. Hit with us 5 as well, so we got 1 hit there. So let's take Pigot. And now we have some militia to do. So let's roll these New Yorkers first, 2 dice. Nothing. We have just the 3 strength Connecticut militia here. Reroll that. Nothing. And then we have 4 dice with the New Yorkers combined from the second line here. Come on. Yeah, there's a hit. So Matthews will take that. I will save the Germans here. Okay, so this didn't took too many losses, which is good for the British plan to crush the American right-hand side, right flank. So let's see how it goes when the British will now fire their offensive fire. So Howe will not get the die because we get the -1 for infantry and leaders. So all these guys will roll 1 less die, so it will be 2 and 2. So I'm going to roll these two together for 4 dice. Remember now, if we roll a 1, we also scare away a militia. Can you believe that hit? It's 3 hits and 1 routed militia. Okay, so here's I mean, these guys took heavy losses, but now they're in bayonet range and just crushes through the American lines here now. So let's see now, 3 hits. So the New Yorkers will take 1, the Connecticut, and this Connecticut militia will take 1. So that's the 3 hits. And then one of them needs to run. So we take one of the Connecticut brigades and run them off. And that was just the first 2 brigades. We have this one. We're going to roll 2 dice for Grant. No hits. And then we're going to roll 3 dice for Cornwallis 3rd Brigade. I mean, this is unreal. That's another 3 hits. Well, it did start so good for the Americans, but now suddenly we have problems, real problems. So we take 1 for the New Yorkers. We take a second one on them. We destroy them. And then let's also destroy the Connecticut. Okay, so we have 2 American units now out of the game. Oh man, and these guys run away. And we have the regulars still in good health though, defending here with Washington. So you can imagine that the militias were holding the first line, backing through maybe the lines of the regulars. And they were just scared away and killed, and probably these guys just gave up when the British came too near. So, well, the British now have more strength over here, that's for sure. Okay, we move to the center. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4 dice, but this is Germans. Going to roll that separately. So these guys would yield 4 dice together with the, if you remove the fortification dice. So that's 4 dice. We have 1 hit from here. So let's take the New Yorkers. We'll take the hit, who are in the first line here. Then we're going to roll Donop for 2 dice. And now 1 or 2 is militia run. Gonna reroll that. We have 1 militia at least running. We know that. Okay, so Donop was really effective. He inflicted 1 hit and then 1 militia will run. So let's take one of the Connecticut militia taking the hit. And then they will run away. So here we are in a better position than the British, really. Because these guys are taking so many hits. Okay, but now comes the critical point here. Because here we have the massed British artillery as well. But we'll start with... and they will not roll, you know... they don't have a reduction from the fortification. So let's see, what do we have here? We have 2, 3 dice from here. Let's roll those 2 together. 3, no, actually that's 3, 4, 5. Okay, so let's roll them 1 by 1. That's 2 dice from Pigot. That's a hit. The New Yorkers will take a hit. Agnew, we have 3 dice. They're rolling good. 2 bloody hits. So more New Yorkers takes hits now. Then let's roll the Germans. 3 dice. That's actually nothing. Then we have 2 dice from Matthews' brigade. Inflicting 1 hit. So these Connecticut militia will take their first. Of course, I'm saving my regulars and artillery, not taking hits on those. But now comes the real problem. We have some artillery firing from the British side. So 3 dice. 5 and 6 are hits and 1 are routing and militia. So we got 2 hits due to the 2 5s we rolled. Oh gosh, the Connecticut militia will take another hit, and then we eliminate 1 of the New Yorkers, another unit out of the game. And that was just the 1st brigade, or 1st regiment. Here's the 3rd regiment of Royal Artillery firing, and we got 1 hit and 1 militia who will run away. So another New Yorker is out of the game. The 2nd New Yorker brigade will run to the back. So now we only have these guys here. This means we didn't rout. We're still holding the line as the Americans, but can we survive another turn? I don't think so. Even though we are strong in the center, our flanks are crumbling. 3 brigades of militia already run away from the battlefield, and 4 have died or already given up. So what I'm gonna do is now pull back my troops to New York City, because we took too many hits, even though this has really bloodied the British as well, so you can be happy about that. But I would say both sides are both happy and unhappy with the result. The Americans are happy they didn't got a flank routed and inflicted some important hits on also some Germans, but the guys on the Clinton were really, they had taken so many losses now. I mean, only the center took 6-7 points of losses. That's tremendous. Oh, sorry, it's 4, 5, 6 points of losses, but still. And also, you know, Howe's flank took some heavy losses as well. But and we, as the Americans, I say we, but I mean the Americans, only lost militia. All the regulars and artillery are in good shape for the next battle we would happen at some point. So, but I will not now, because now the British would roll the full dice. So I'm just gonna pull back. And we could go to Bushwick, but we might get just hammered up in the out again. So I want to be in a better position for defense. So that's why we're gonna take the retreat over this sea to also defend New York City, which is an important place to be. Okay, so I will stop this video here and do the retreat. Okay, so there was one thing I forgot to do after this battle. When you do a voluntary retreat or a withdrawal from a battle, as the Americans did, all infantry units may fire with 1 die and hit with 6s on the enemy. But I did that. The British had 12 infantry units in their stack, and so I got 12 dice that I rolled, and amazingly I didn't roll a single 6 on these 12 dice, so the Americans got away just barely there from the from the attack. But yeah, no hits during the retreat, and that was really lucky for the Americans. So now we have well, I could say both sides have some headache now. What to do next, really? Because okay, so because the English or the British took the Brooklyn Heights, the path is now open for English ships to sail up here on the East River, all the way up here, really. You can see on the map there's some red kind of bars here. It's here, and there's also one just here. So you cannot go from the East River to the Hudson River just in front of New York City. So the British now have pretty much this side open for sailing, and that's of course a problem for the American side, because as the British will move up here with the ships, first of all, the British can of course start moving over the water, they could actually already start attacking New York Island here if they wanted. Also, they're hindering American supply, but the supply issue is not that big because the American can draw supply to any map edge, any road that goes out to the map edge, even the Long Island. And over waterways, but if there's a British ship there, they cannot trace it over water, so it might be a slight issue there with the supply. I'd say as long as they have Paulus Hook, they are fine in New York Island because they can draw through that and then out from Hopcock and towards New Jersey. But still, it's a problem because now the British have kind of these islands are now open for them to move up onto. Well, the British have some headaches as well. It's not too easy for them either. First of all, of course, they want to attack New York City. That's one of the objectives they have, to take New York City, and they want to do that, of course. And we could do an amphibious attack over Brooklyn Heights towards New York City, but that would mean a very tough first round of combat for them because they would lose one, die because of New York City being a fortified position, and second because they're doing an amphibious attack. So that will be 2 less dies in the first round of combat, which could be really deadly for them before they can start rolling their proper dice. So I probably don't want to do that, but if I don't do that, then I need to start moving some ships here so we can ship over troops towards New York Island and attack them from the north. However, if we leave this unattended, I mean Brooklyn Heights, the fortifications, the Americans could go over and retake it. So I need to leave some garrison here. So then comes the question, what should we do with Heister? Should we perhaps move him over to Long Island? He needs to go to Denise's Ferry in that case because he cannot go land in another naval zone that he is in. So he needs to go here and then move up. But that's not a big issue. Maybe leave these then. Leave the threat against Paulus Hook. Of course, we would like to get some ships up the Hudson River eventually, and then we need to take Paulus Hook, but maybe we should concentrate on New York City at this point. Meaning we could leave here, and we need to put some garrisons out. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking of. So we'll see. I'm gonna do some movements. We're beginning turn 4 now, and I'm gonna roll for the action points and do some movement, and I will get back maybe not even this turn, but some turns forward and see how the situation looks. So I'll be back pretty soon in a later turn. Let's see which one it will be. Okay, so I will just start turn 6. I'm going to move to turn 6, and I just wanted to give you a quick update of what has happened here. So immediately after the battle, Howe started to march with the bulk of the British army towards Bushwick here. Sir Henry Clinton was waiting at Brooklyn Heights for a while, not to be defending it in case the Americans got any ideas to retake it. So he was left there, but he has a movement or two, so he could catch up later with Howe. As you can see, they have now all gathered at Astoria, which is a you can see it here. Here's the anchor symbol, so it's a port, so they can do an amphibious lift off here if you want. As you can see, also the British ships have moved. The first turn after the battle, there was bad weather, so the British ships could not move up the river, but now they can, or in turn 5 they could, so they moved up here. I got the full action points with the British. That was lucky for them. So Heister have been also moving via Denise's Ferry and now up. So he's holding Brooklyn. In response, Lee has moved up to New York City to defend it in case Heister would try to attack it. Greene is still in New York City as well because the Americans simply didn't have action points enough to move him as well, because Washington had taken all the regulars and the artillery along with one militia unit, and they were going to Harlem Village here to defend, because this is the place where the British will land if they're going to land on New York Island. Otherwise, they need to land on New York up here, and then on Mauritania, and then they could move, of course, around, but that will take them a few turns. And now they're seeing that the Americans are pretty much weaker here. They might try an amphibious landing here. I think I'm going to do that. So it really depends on the next turn's rolls. If the Americans get to move first, Greene will for sure support here. He might take some better troops with him from Lee's units here, just to boost up the defense of Harlem Village there. But in case the British are lucky to move first, then they have a big chance to land here, pushing back Washington and the regulars here. So it's going to be really interesting to see who gets the first action in turn 6. And I'm going to roll for it now, so you can also see it. So let's see. Okay, so the British got 2, the Americans got also 2, so the Americans will start. The ships may move because we rolled an even roll, so this means the Americans go first, so I will be able to reinforce Washington there a bit with Greene, not Lee because he can only move 1, so we need Greene to go over there. But I'm gonna check who I'm gonna bring with me, and we probably will see another big battle happening during turn 6. So I will get back to you when that battle occurs. Okay, so I've set up the battle board. So as said, the British were embarking in Astoria and then do an amphibious assault on Harlem Village. So they had to move up another ship here to be able to move up all these forces. So they have the bulk of their fleet up there now. And here's the setup that I have, again, done some randomization on, and we got some interesting results. Howe is again leading from his right-hand flank. Howe has again massed his artillery in one place, so we have them in center this time. We had them here, I remember last time when they had the Battle of Harlem Heights. But here on the, Brooklyn Heights. On Harlem Village Battle, he had massed them here together with Clinton, who's leading it. And we have 3 brigades of infantry just holding off, so the Americans cannot get to the artillery here. On Howe's flank, it's not, that's the weak part of the British line this time. Only 3 brigades and not full strength, but he relies on the professionalism of the Germans. So he has both of the German brigades here, Midbach and Donop. So they're gonna try to hold on here. What else? Yeah, and then their left flank. Well, that's an interesting setup they had. They just massed infantry here, 6 brigades advancing on that side. But these are the brigades that took a heavy toll on the Brooklyn Heights battle, so they are really weak. And remember, we're gonna throw 1 less die in the first combat round, so that's not that many dice coming out from here, at least turn 1. Washington is now leading from his right-hand flank. He was on the left last time. He has some artillery with him, so he has placed artillery and a leader on each flank. Wisely, Washington put some militia in every section, so we don't have one militia-heavy section. But on the other hand, we have mostly regulars now. So artillery on both sides, 2 brigades with green on the left-hand flank, and then some militia. Washington with him has 3 full brigades of regulars and some Massachusetts militia in full strength. Center then, that's their weakness this time. So they had 2 regulars and 2 militia brigades here. One of the Massachusetts who already took a hit from the last battle. So this is a problem, as again, the British kind of sense where the weak point is, and then they mass their artillery here. And that's pretty cool because I have randomized this. That it happened twice in a row now, so that's cool. So this could be the breaking point. On the other hand, the flanks are really tough, so they can inflict heavy damage again on the British. And I mean, Washington has no intention to stay here and just battle. He will do 1 round and then he will be out retreating towards New York City, I believe. It's a tough one. They can be closed in here. They can always go back to New Jersey shores, of course, but then they have really limited movement, so it's dangerous. But he also needs to try to get away from New York Island if New York City falls. So, well, this is going to be a really important battle, so we're going to see how it goes. So we just start rolling again. Let's start on the flank again. So we have the militia rolling 2 dice. No hits. We have Fellows Brigade, 3 dice. 1 hit. Mirbach will take it. McDougall. 1 hit. Grant's Brigade takes it. Then we have Green himself, who contributes with 1 die. Miss. Then we have artillery. A 3rd artillery, and we have 2 hits coming in. Oh, this really hurts. This really hurts. Okay. Then we have center section. We have the Massachusetts Brigade here. Nothing. A regular firing. That's 2 hits on the British. They have 2 brigades in full strength, so they're gonna take the hits on those. Then we have more militia in the line, firing and hitting nothing. And last but not least, we have 1 more regular brigade firing. And no hits. But still, we got a few nice hits on the first rank of infantry there. Okay, so the right-hand flank, this is the strong one for the Americans. Let's see now. We start with firing the Massachusetts militia. Nothing. Then we have 3 brigades firing. First one. I'm gonna actually re-roll this. Because, yeah, okay, so that's a miss. Next one. That's a hit. No full strength. Yeah, no, actually. So that take Matthews Brigade will take the hit. We have Mifflin's Brigade still. Another hit. Smith. We have the artillery firing. Oops. Hey, come on. What's the problem here? Cannot hit that gap there. Okay, so we got 1 hit because artillery hits with a 5 as well. So we got Pigot taking that hit. Oh, these are really getting weak now. And we're gonna roll still 1 die for Washington. Oh my god, he hits. So all these brigades are now down to 2. Amazing. But now the British get to fire. So let's see now. Let's start with Howe and Grant. They can fire together. 3. No, these will lose 1 die, so that's 2 dice only. Well, they scared away 1 militia with that roll, so the Connecticut militia will run away. Then we have the Hessians, and they will roll 1 die each. No hits. Not going too well for the British here now. How will not... Hold on, wait a minute. How should not have rolled any die? I'm gonna redo this. Sorry, I think I rolled a die for him. So Grant would only get 1 die. Okay, but he scared away that militia. That's good. Then these guys will get 1 die each. That's 2 dice. I need to redo this. Okay, so we got 1 hit on the Americans. So fellows will take that hit. Now the next one. That will be 2 and 4 dice. Let's start with those 2. We got 1 hit. We'll take that on the Massachusetts. And this guy will get 2 dice. Cornwallis. No hits. Then we have Clinton will get nothing. Artillery fire with full strength. So gonna fire with 3 dice each. First one. 1 hit and 1 militia is scared off. So let's take it on one of the Massachusetts, and then they will be scared off. Second artillery barrage. We have yet 1 more militia running away. So yeah, a bit weak here as well. Here now, everybody is in 1 or 2 strength, but only 1 strength first turn. So it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dice. So I'm gonna roll them 3 and 3. 1 militia scared off, even though he's in full strength. And the second 3 dice attack. Oh, 2 hits. Okay, and now I don't have any militia taking hits on anymore, so I need to start taking on my regulars. Oh my. Starting to get tough here. So that was the first round of combat, and I think the Americans did pretty well. Okay, all the militia participating have now disappeared from the battle, but let's see how. So on this flank we are stronger as the American player, so these could for sure stay. On the other flank we are a bit under strength, but we have artillery, so we could take that fight, I believe. The center is the American concern, because the artillery together with 3 pretty good strength infantry could cause some heavy damage. I mean, if these guys are dead, then it will be a rout, and that has some really bad effects. So I'm wondering if I should be happy with this attack and back off as the American player now. I think we're doing pretty well. The British will then get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 dice again for the retreat fire, which hurts. Or should I dare to take 1 more? I'm just scared of my center here. Should we stand 1 more turn? I'm gonna think about that. Yeah, I need to think about that, and I'll shut up the camera for a while and I'll get back to you. Okay, so I have decided to add some randomness to it, so I will roll for it. I know Washington would be kind of a cautious general, I believe, so I'm going to roll a d6, and if I roll 1 to 4, he will withdraw from the Battle of Harlem Village. If I roll a 5 or 6, he's determined to defend the beach, and we will see another round of the battle. Probably that would mean both sides will take really heavy losses next turn. But you know, the Americans have this special goal for them that they could win the game instantly. I mean, if the British ever goes down below 20 strength points, I don't think there's any risk for that yet, but who knows, after the next combat round I might just calculate to see how many strength points there are left, just to see the situation and how cautious Howe needs to be from here on. But let's roll first for Washington, what he decides to do. So that's a 6. Interestingly, he will stay and battle. Oh man, this might be a really quick game. Yeah, so first the defender takes a decision if you want to retreat or continue. Then the attacker do the same. So pretty much Howe could also retreat, even though he come via ships, he can retreat back to Astoria through his landing crafts there. So is there a chance that he would do that? This would also mean that these rebels would get 5-7 dice. These will not fire because they have pretty much left the battlefield, but 7 dice in the retreat fire, that's not too bad. It might imply they get 1 more hit, perhaps. But is it worth it? Then we need to do another landing. Of course, we could instead land here and go all the way around instead. Maybe we could take Fort Washington and Fort Lee. No, we cannot take Fort Lee because we need ships for that, and we cannot get any ships here now. So, but Fort Washington we could take kind of for free, and that could be something to do. So maybe there's a slight chance that Howe would do that. So I'm gonna roll for Howe as well, but for his sake, I will roll 1 to 5. Oh, sorry, 1 to 4. Then he will continue the battle. If I roll a 5 or 6, he will actually withdraw and come to think about another plan, because this might be too much for him to take in terms of losses. Just checking the situation once more. So here's a bit critical because we have American artillery here. Yeah, maybe we'll do that. Let's do that. It's a 1, so he will continue the fight. So we will see another round of battle at Harlem Village. This is really interesting because now things could get really hairy now. So let's see. Let's roll first 2 dice for who's this? Fellows Brigade. 2 dice. There's no hits there. I'm gonna roll these 2 combined. Green and McDougall will fire with 4 dice. There's no hits. We still have the artillery, 3 dice, and there's 1 hit. So Grant will take that hit. Then the weakest part, we got 2 fires with 3 dice. First one, Nixon, nothing, and then Reed, no hits. Here then, first we're gonna fire with Sterling and Dry with 4 dice. Not too many hits dealt this time, and nothing here. Maybe this will be the turning point for the British. Mifflin will still fire with 3. Here we got 2 dice. He's fighting well on the extreme right of the line here. So he inflicts 2 more hits on the British. Oh, this starts taking getting big hits now. And we haven't still fired with the battery or the artillery. Let's take Washington first with 1 die. Nothing. And then we roll for the artillery. And no hits at all by the artillery. That's all the Americans did. So they did, I think, 3 hits, 2 here and 1 here. So maybe these guys can inflict more damage now. This could be really dangerous. So we have no militia here, so we can roll pretty much these together if we want. But let's roll these 2 together first. The British, 2 dice. That's 1 hit. Then McDougall. Then we have 4 more dice, the Germans. But no additional hit. So also 1 hit here. So pretty much an exchange on this flank. He's getting a bit nervous, to be honest. Then we go to the center. And this is the dangerous part for the Americans. So we're first gonna roll. Let's roll the infantry first then. 3 dice first. Nothing. Second, Robertson. There's 1 hit there. So Nixon will take that. We still have Cornwallis 3rd Brigade. Here's another hit coming in. That would be Red who takes that. Reed, maybe his name is. I don't know how to pronounce that. Then we have the battery. Or let's take Clinton first. 1 die. No hits. Okay, 1st Regiment of Artillery. Firing, inflicting 2 hits. Now it's starting to get really dangerous, because if this also does 2 hits, we have a break. Oh man, this is gonna be... There's 1 hit there. So Nixon's brigade is eliminated. Red did just barely survive to hold the center. And we're not ready yet, because we have this flank yet to do. So now the American lines are really crumbling. Oh man. Okay, so let's do it like this. 2 rolls of 4 dice first. No hits at all. The second one, nothing. And then we still have 2 dice too of fire. And there's 1 hit coming in. So Mifflin will take a hit. And now I think Washington cannot keep this going. He's getting grinded down now. His center is really crumbling. His some remnants still holding back the 3 brigades, and the intense artillery fire happening in the center. So he needs to withdraw. Meaning, since we didn't have any blocks removed, I think we had the 12 brigades here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yes, we've got 12 dice of retreat fire from the British to do still. So we're going to roll three times the 4 dice. Last time in the Brooklyn Heights, they didn't hit 1 during the retreat. Let's see if they are more lucky this time. Yeah, here's 1. Who will take it? I think I can take it from these guys now. I believe so. So I'm going to take it from this Massachusetts. Second one. Nothing. And the third and last. Actually, there's 1 more. So Connecticut. Here's the ending of the battle, and for sure the Americans took a heavy hit on the second one, but also the British are. I want to calculate or add together the British strength points. Let's see how many they have. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 13, 16, 19. Okay, they have plenty more than 20, so no problems yet. And they have just taken Harlem Village in possession. So I will now do the retreat and continue from here and see when we have the next engagement, or if anything other happens, I will get back and give an update on the situation. Okay, so we're still on turn 7. This means the turn after the battle on Harlem Village here. So we have seen some dramatic movements. Let's see if I remember it in correctly, but after the battle, instead of retreating towards New York City, which Washington decided is a lost cause anyway, he retreated to Harlem Heights. I rolled quite bad for both in the I rolled odds on both, so we have no ship movement, and the Americans started, so they took the whole army and retreated back to Fort Washington. So here we have another fortified position to defend. The British did 2 things basically. Clinton took the best, or the guys in best shape, including the Germans, from the big army, and move towards Washington City to attack it. So we're going to see that battle coming out now. He dared to do that because he knows there's a lot of militia and bad shape units here. So he's confident that he will, take it. And even though it's fortified, and yeah, we have pretty much even blocks here. So this will probably be a British victory. Heister left Brooklyn Heights and went over to Astoria, preparing to ship over to Long Island and give Howe the much needed fresh troops he needs in the attack for Fort Washington, should Washington stay there and defend. He has a difficult situation now. But we're going to play this battle first and see what happens. I'm sure Lee will only be able to hold for one turn, then he will need to retreat. And he has pretty much 3 options. He could go back to Greenwich, try to link up with, but he's a slow mover, so he will never be able to link up. There is a special rule where you can roll a die. You can increase movement with 2, and then you roll a die to see how many strength points he lost in the forced march. And that's, I mean, we don't have that many strength points, and I probably don't want to do that. So I probably don't want to get caught here, so I will have 2 more options. We could do a retreat via some boats. We can still go here to Paulus Hook. Still we have both these in possession, and there's no British ship here, so you could get back to Paulus Hook, or we could go back to Brooklyn Heights, which I won't do, I believe, because it's just crazy, I believe. We will get attacked by Heister and maybe the remnants of Clinton forces then. So I'm gonna for sure go back to Paulus Hook, try to hold that. We will of course lose New York City, meaning British ships can move up to Zone A, which is here after that, if they are lucky with the weather. So pretty much what I'm hoping as the American player is to just inflict as much damage as possible before we retreat from New York City. And then, after New York City is lost, the New York militia will start to disappear from the ranks. So I'm going to take my losses on those guys. So I'm going to set up the battle and we'll see how it goes. Okay, here's the situation for the Battle of New York City. So the Americans with Charles Lee is he's himself in the left-hand side of the battlefield with 3 strength points of militia, I would say. Actually, we have 3 strength points of militia throughout the whole line, so a really weak line, as you can see. He plays his artillery in the center, hoping to inflict some damage here before the British will pretty much win the battle, I'm sure. But Clinton, who's leading the battle from his right-hand side, he has a pretty weak wing on where he's located. He just have pretty half-strength brigade there now of Germans holding back towards the these guys, and he has spread out his artillery for the first time, so we will have an artillery on the center and on the British left, together with 2 brigades each, and we have some more Germans here coming in. Their left hand is maybe the strongest then, because they have 2-3 strength brigades and the artillery against only militia. So here we might see a militia break. But as you know, this is a fortified position, so the British will roll 1 die less in this first round, and the Americans will roll first. So here I will roll 1, 2, 3, 4 dice, thanks to Lee also giving a die. So let's see if we get any hits. There were no hits on this flank, and that was kind of Clinton's gambling. He hoped that these will remain, so he can inflict more damage over here. So here we have 1, 2, 3 dice of militia firing. No hits. And then we have 3 dice of artillery. It's a strong artillery in the center. Probably see some damage. Yeah, 1 hit. So it's Cornwallis 3 who takes this hit. Then over here we have 3 dice of militia. No damage inflicted. So now come the British battle dice. No die from Clinton and 1 die from Mirbach. That's a 5, so it's a miss. Here we have 1 die from Donop. That's a miss. And 1 die from Cornwallis. He scared away a militia. So let's take the Connecticut then. We also have a battery firing, or a regiment, let's say. And there's 1 hit coming in. And I will take that from the New Yorkers. They will start going away anyway soon. That's that. So we have 1 point of militia left in the line in front of the artillery. Here then we have 2 dice and 2 dice, so that will be 4 dice. For the infantry fire, there's no hits. And then we have the British artillery firing. And no hits at all. Strange. So, yeah, kind of an even fight. But I believe the Americans are not interested in a second round, because this... I will start taking hits on my artillery, which is very valuable. So I might as well retreat back to Paulus Hook now. I will get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dice of retreating fire on me, but I have some more New Yorkers who could absorb that hit, so that might come from there. So I'm gonna do that. So 5 dice of retreating fire. So I roll the 4 first. There's 1 hit, and the New Yorkers will take it, as I said. And we still will roll 1 more die. And no hits. So these guys got away. And British now have possession of New York City. I don't believe we have any more New York militia. Not here either. It's Connecticut. What is Massachusetts and Massachusetts? Nope. So all New Yorkers have been casualties already. So there will be no desertions. Okay, so I will put back the troops. So I will retreat to Paulus Hook with Lee, and the British will celebrate in New York City. I will be back when we have some more interesting happening.